Okay, we're up to Tan Rabbanan at the bottom of Tes on Amid Beis. So we're discussing halacha of Netiya. We said that on that Rosh Chodesh Tishrei or Rosh Hashanah for what? For Netiya. What does that mean? That if let's say you planted a tree a year 30 days before, it took root, and then Aleph Tishrei passes, you're going to start counting it as the second year of the tree's life. Now, as we're going to see, regarding eating the fruit, might be not so pasha. In other words, well, not 3 full years, but it depends where Tu B'Shvat. It could be 2.5. But regarding it does make it a year earlier, but not. It won't make it shorter, as we're going to see. We'll speak it out. So Tan Rabbanan, Echad HaNoiteya, where the person plants. Noiteya usually is the lashon of planting a tree, a sapling. Echad HaMavrich. Mavrich, fellas, is you take a shoot, you put it like a root, you put it back in the ground, and when it takes root on the other side, you cut it in half, so you have two. That's called mavrich. Like I know what I'm talking about, right? This is what they did. Mavrich. The echad hamarkiv is harkava is grafting. You would take a branch and put it on a tree. Erev shvius shleishim yoyim lefnei Rosh Hashanah. All Shana. If you did it 30 days before Rosh Hashanah, that's it. All Shana, it's considered that you deduct the year from Arla. You deduct the year from Arla. You deduct it. Umuta lekaima b'shvius. And since it took root, it's not considered as if you planted in the Shemitah year. It's not considered as if you planted in the Shemitah year. Okay, so we're discussing Netiya, when you planted, and if it takes root 30 days before Rosh Hashanah, which is the Rosh Hashanah for Netiya, it's considered when Rosh Hashanah passed, the first year of Arla is done, and now you're in the second year. In addition, you wouldn't have to uproot it because it would be considered planted before the Shemitah year. If something's planted in the Shemitah year, you can have any use from it. So, however, Pachas Mishleishim Yom, we're in the bottom line on Tes Amid Beis, the bottom line. Pachas Mishleishim Yom, less than 30 days, in other words, less than 30 days to take root, Lefnei Rosh Hashanah. Loi also Shana, it does not, the year doesn't count. The also l'kaima b'shvius, and it's also to go ahead and be mekayim and shvius. You have to go ahead and get rid of it. Let's see Rashi. Pachas mishleishim lo also Shana at Tishrei haba. In other words, you'd have to wait a whole year till the next Tishrei. In Eina Erev Shvius, if it's not Erev Shvius, then Erev Shvius, then you don't even wait. Why? Also l'kaima, you can't even keep it. Because remember, there's a mitzvah to be meisif on the Shemitah year. So if it's a regular year, not a Shemitah year, and you plant it with less than 30 days before Tishrei, so when it comes to Tishrei, you're not up the year. It's only up the year till the next Tishrei. And if it was your luck and it was a Shemitah year, not only forget about being also, you wouldn't have any plant at all because there's a mitzvah of b'toisef Shemitah. That 30 days before, as we back it, 30 days before is considered already Shemitah, Taisefes Michal ala Kodesh, you'd have to get rid of it. Okay? That's the halacha. Now, there is a, what about the fruit? Now, the next piece of Gemara is very difficult. We can go through it, we'll go through a Rashi. It's a few lines, guys. Upeiris Netiya zu, the peiris of this Netiya that you said counts, meaning you planted it 30 days before. And it took root, and it's going to count for Arla, and there's no Shemitah problem. Nonetheless, Asurim at Tesvav B'Shvat. It will be Asa until Tesvav B'Shvat, Im La'Arla Im L'Voy. Let's see Rashi, guys. The Afal P, and even though Sha'amarnu that we said also Shana that it's considered the first year, Im Chatu Ba Peiris La'achar Rosh Hashanah Shel Shana. What Shana? What is he? He's Gairis. Shel Shana Shlishis Miyad Adayin Asurn Hedalamis. In other words, if it's the third year, and you're gonna it took root before Shemitah year, and now you counted 1 year, but it bloomed before two in the third year. It bloomed before 2, then it still would be Asa. It'd still be Arla, even though it's already you counted the third year. Guys, watch. Watch. I planted it when I planted it in Elul, right? Now it comes Tishrei. You're counting, 1 year's down the tubes. Next Tishrei, 2 years down the tubes. Next year, 3 years down the tubes. And you would think then, at this point in time, you would be able to go ahead and eat it. No, if it bloomed before Tu B'Av, you wouldn't be able to eat it. It still will be asa. But Tu B'Av, I meant Tu B'Shvat, excuse me. I said Tu B'Av? Okay, the twos. I got my twos mixed up. Tu B'Shvat. Then if it bloomed before even, so in other words, you don't have 3 full years. So it does help you that regarding the next year, but that year it still won't be good. Look, Rashi's beautiful. It's Rashi's lashon. Miyada dainasurim heinay lamis mishum arla. And here's the chiddush. Shiaf al pi she Rosh Hashanah Tishrei l'netiya tesva b'shvat Rosh Hashanah l'Ilan v'zu kvar nasas Ilan. And this already is considered a tree. Lefikach ein shenasa mischadeshes lotzis miyad arla. The year does not change in vis-a-vis the halacha of arla at tesva b'shvat. Av misham lahalan, if it would take root in yechantku, but yechantku, but Paris did reviolate. After that, if the din of Paris will be on it. If it took root after Tu B'Shvat, then we have a din of the 4th year. Lechol b'Yishalayim tidu Yishalayim. Ubetesva l'shana haba yetzim b'dei revi Paris hachnutim ba. The next year, it's totally good. Mikan veilach l'kach hoylula lamed shalafnei Rosh Hashanah. You're asking yourself, what does it help the lamed before Rosh Hashanah? Shememaher hetiru mites bav Shvat yad Rosh Hashanah, because it would give you that next 15 month from Tu B'Shvat until the next Rosh Hashanah you gain. Okay, so it's a little convoluted, but let me. I'll say it again. If you have an art scroll, it's pretty much. I think they give you a little chart there. So if you look at your art scroll chart and follow along with me, okay. Here's what happened. You planted it. You planted the tree, and you planted 30 days before. So therefore, now comes Tishrei. You have the first year of it's over, right? Okay. The next year Tishrei, you're ready. Is year 2, right? And the next year Tishrei is year 3. So you think right away anything that grows in that year 3, you'll be able to eat. If it took after year 3, but if it took root before Tu B'Shvat, you would not be able to. You'd have to wait till what after only if it bloomed after 2. Okay, I said bloom brought fruit. Bloom, the chanata. You go after chanata, the bloom. So is that you see on your chart there? Okay, there you go. That's it. So that's it. So where does it help you? Because if it took root, if it bloomed after Tu B'Shvat, then you'll be able to eat it. Which ordinarily you have to wait till next Tishrei. You'll be able to have that zman post Tu B'Shvat if it bloomed until Tishrei. That's it. That's Rashi Shita. Okay. So back in the Gemara now. However, uperis netiyazu, the peris of this netiya, of this tree that took root 30 days before Tishrei, asurim, they would be asur at Tu B'Shvat until if it bloomed until Tu B'Shvat. Imla arla, if it's an arla, then it's arla. Imla lervoi, there'll be asal snat lervoi. You have to take Yerushalayim and eat it. Minani mili. How do you know there's a halacha, guys, of 40 or halacha of a year 3 and year 4? So I'm Rav Chia bar Abba, I'm Rav Yechon, who matubah m'shem the Rav Yanai. I'm saying the shem Rav Yanai. I'm going to cry. The pasuk says, do I have a chumash here? And of course not. That would be too easy, but I should be able to. I should be able to do this quickly. Okay. So the pasuk says, okay, the pasuk says in Vayikra Yotes psukim chaf gimel through chafei. You come there to Israel and you plant any fruit-bearing tree. You can eat its arla. Pasuk Dalu. B'shana Shvius year kol period kodesh Shilum Hashem is the din of kedusha. B'shana, and you bring it up to Yerushalayim. Then it says Ubashana Ravi, and then it says Ubashana Hachamishis Tochles Perio Lahosam Tvuvasai. So now it says Ubashana Ravius Ubashana Hachamishis. Good, and has the vav, and the vav connects back to what the arla. So it says the Gemara Ubashana Ravius Ubashana Hachamishis. Pa'amim Sheberavius V'Dayin Asura. Sometimes you're in the 4th year and it's still asa arla mishum arla. Upamisha b'chamisha is in the 5th year, v'dayin asuri mishum ravoy. How would that be? The scenario we just gave you, right? Where you had the 30-day year, and then you have 3, so you'd have 4, and the 4 you'd have to say the 5th year, the same thing. Okay, that's sometimes 40, sometimes 50. Let's say what the Taisef, the guys that we quoted, that 30 days is not like Reb Meir. The rest of the share is predicated upon the Taisef that we did on the Amud Aleph, right? Echad HaMarkiv, Ve'echad HaMavrich, Ve'echad HaNateya Markiv Rachiv. 30 days before you're good, and you don't have to uproot if it's a Shemitah year. Less than 30 days not good. So it's mashma that 30 days is a year. Now, right now, guys, the assumption is that we're speaking about a year, and the 30 days constitutes a year. 30 days constitutes a year. So Lema, let us say that the like Reb Meir. Let's say that's not like Reb Meir. The Reb Meir, ha'amar yom echad b'shana chashiv shana. He says even one day can be considered a year. So taking away the physical aspect of it taking root and just looking at what's considered a year. So therefore, if that Tosefta said you need 30 days, it can't be according to Reb Meir, because according to Reb Meir, it's mashma even one day would be considered a year. Again, we're taking away the maskana, it's going to be different, but right away, in taking away the concept of 30 days for it to take root, the Havamina is 30 days is a year. And no, Reb Meir says 1 day is a year. So lo Reb Meir, this halacha wouldn't apply. Lo Reb Meir, even 1 day you should be able to go ahead and be considered a year. If you should plant in Chaf Test Elul, and if 1 day should be considered a year. Where do we see 1 day is considered a year? The following way. The Reb Meir, the Tanya. Okay, guys, Par, Ben Bakar, and Egel. One animal, 3 different stages in life. A Par, a Ben Bakar, and an eagle. Okay, they're all the same animal, but different times. Kevesh is a year old. Ayel is 2 years old. Extra credit. What's a 13-month-old called? What? Come on, I told you the story with my grandson.
I knew you were going to ask.
Palgas, right? Palgas. Avrami was being a nana back there, so he knew the answer. He just didn't want to say. Palgas. Anyway, so Reb Meir says, Yomecha b'shana chas v'shana, the Tanya. Par ha'omer b'toira stam ben eser v'abam chodesh. The par is 24 months old or 2 years old. For Yomecha, div Reb Meir. Guys, in other words, 24 and a day. Div Reb Meir. Rav Elazar Aimer ben eser v'abam chodesh, 24 months. V'lamid yoim in 30 days. Shaya Reb Meir Aimer kol machim shama egel b'toira stam ben shana ben baka ben shtayim par ben shalosh. So guys, Reb Meir said, guess what? In order to be 3 years old, it's enough to be 24 months and a day. So too over here, to be considered, if 1 day is considered linyan par a whole year, 1 day linyan atil also should be considered a year. So when the Tosefta said you need 30 days, it can't be according to Reb Meir, right? So now with the second sheet, there was Rabbi Elazar. He said a month, 30 days, right? So the Havamina is Rabbi Elazar works, correct? Rabbi Elazar said 24 months, 2 years, and 30 days. So 30 days is considered a year. So Rabbi Elazar must be what? The Tana of the Tosefta, who said 30 days. Because again, right now, we're not going with the halacha of klita, of taking root. We're simply stating a mathematical metzius. A day is a year, 30 days is a year. That Tosefta said 30 days is a year. Rabbi Elazar says by Ben Baka, says 30 days by a cow. 30 days, a male cow, a bull. 30 days by a bull is a year, so 30 days there. But Rabbi Meir says 1 day by a bull would not say over there. Says, no, I can tell you the difference. Here's the difference. I feel to Rabbi Meir. Ki kamer Rabbi Meir, yemecha b'shana, chashiv shana, b'soif shana. Avo b'tchila shana, loy amar. Okay, so what did we just say? That's very geschmack. When was our year, guys? Before Rosh Hashanah. 1 day before Rosh Hashanah. We went 30 days for Rosh Hashanah, make Rosh Hashanah, you got a year. Good. Reb Meir, when did he say? 24 months plus a day. So we want to say that It's not that Pshat says that a day is a year. It depends when that day is. If the day is after the year, we'll consider it the beginning of the third year. We'll consider it a year. But to go ahead and begin calling it a year after one day, that we won't do. You need to leave 30 days. What? Well, I just gave you a svara. In other words, if you're starting the year, you finished, you started a cycle, 2 years, and now you need a third year, and you began the beginning of the third year. So it's a hemshech. I got 2 and 1. Mashenkin, to create and begin the cycle of Arla, that we won't do. Yeah, well, we're going to get into Mixed Yom Kippur in a second. We're going to get very okay. Now, so that pashut is the chiluk. Now, Rabbi is going to make a chiluk and say it doesn't make any sense. Rabbi is going to say if it's good in the end, it definitely is good in the beginning, and he's going to use the halachas of nida. Okay, nida raisa, guys. Nida, look at me. All you have to know this is yediyah. This what 7-Eleven, right? Okay, now nida raisa, a woman, if she bleeds for 7 days on a certain span of time, she bleeds for 7 days. If she stops at the end of the 7th day, even if she sees blood the whole day, she's mutter to her husband. Right, she's mutter to her husband. The halachas we keep are hilchas zava. We keep the halachas of chayish during the 11th-day period. The women don't know what it is. Our halachas are hilchas zava, and women are machmer on themselves. But midoraisa, a woman who would keep cheshbon of the 7-day cycle, 11 days, 7-day cycle, 11 day. In those 7 days, if she sees blood, then she's what? Then she, at the end of the 7th day, even if she sees blood at the end of the day, she's going to be what? She's going to be tar to her husband. Okay. So now, at the end of the day, at the end, if she would go ahead, she doesn't see any blood. Miksa Yom Kekula, can she go to the mikveh? No, she can't go to the mikveh. We don't say Miksa Yom. We don't say at the end that an hour is considered a day. You have to wait the whole day. She only goes to the mikveh at night, the 7th day at night. Good. What about if she sees at the beginning of the cycle, end of day 1, she doesn't see any, end of day, she didn't see blood the whole day. End of day 1, she does see blood. Does that count for her first day? And the answer is yes. So regarding becoming a nida, we'll say Miksa Yom Kikulai, even if she saw blood at the end of the day, she's a nida. Regarding the end, to say Miksa Yom Kikulo, we won't say she can go to the mikveh at the end, even though parts of the day finished. So there's more of a svara to say Miksa Yom Kikulo in the beginning than at the end. So again, there's a bigger svara to say that one day at the beginning is considered a year rather than at the end. Let's see it inside.
The only reason for mikveh at night is because the day isn't finished yet, or there's no.
We don't say Miksa Yom Kikulo. In other words, if you say Miksa Yom Kikulo, she shouldn't have to wait the whole seventh day. She should be able to go to mikveh in the morning. Okay, now says the Gemara. Okay, what's that teretz, guys? Let's go over. What do we say? We want to say that the Tosefta that stated that you need 30 days before the Yom Tishrei to be considered an early year is not like Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir says 1 day is enough. Where do you see 1 day is enough? Because he says in the lifetime of a par where you need 3 years, it's enough to be 24 months and 1 day. And for the Gemara, doesn't make any sense. Well, it doesn't make any sense. And for the Gemara, is that Rabbi Meir could be the Tana of the Tosefta, and Rabbi Meir will make a chilik between the first day and the last. When does he say 1 day is considered a year? After you began the cycle. But to begin the cycle and say that the first year of Orla, when it wasn't a mitzias of a first year, it was 1 day, he won't say that. So he would agree you need at least 30 days. Now, says Rav, Amar Rav of Alav Kal V'Chayma, who guys, is there not a Kal V'Chayma that the beginning should count? Uma Anida, she'ein tchilas hayoim, oilala b'seifa. Anida, the beginning of the 7th day, does not count for her end. She can't go to the mikvah on the beginning of the 7th day. Now, the beginning of the 7th day is her end. She doesn't see any blood. We do not say mixus hayom kikulo when it's like the whole day is finished. And it's the last day, guys, right? So let's make the comparison. This last day is like by Reb Meir, the day at the end of 2 years, right? It's the end. The last day, we do not say mixus hayom kikulo. Soif hayom oila b'tchilasai, but nonetheless, soif hayom, the end of the first day, counts for a beginning. That if she goes ahead, right? If she sees what blood, it counts as a first day. That makes Yom Kikula was going to count as a first full day of blood. You'll be able, in other words, the count of 7 begins that day because she saw blood. She only saw part of the day. We say no, mixes Yom Kikula, and that day is considered a full day. So again, here's the corollary. We're comparing the end of Nida to the end of the two of the Par's years, and the beginning of Nida to the beginning of what? Of the time, of the beginning of the cycle. You wanted to make a distinction later in Meah between the beginning and the end, saying we are more makel in the end than we are in the beginning. It's not true, because if you're more makel in the end, you should be makel in the beginning and say Miksah Yom Kikulai. But we see from Nida that you did not say Miksah Yom Kikulai. Why? Because at the end, where we do not let it go to the mikveh at the end, but nonetheless in the beginning we do count it. So who adin by Reb Meah, if you're going to count one day at the end of the 2 years to be the beginning of a shar's life, certainly you should count it in the beginning. For who adin le'inyan arla, you should count it in the beginning. So it must be Reb Meah, can't be the Tana of the Mishnah. One more time. Amar Rava, says Rava, that we should count the beginning more than the end. The beginning of the 7th day. Oila b'seifa does not count to its end. To go to the mikveh and be mitaher. Seif hayoim, the end of the first day. Oila b'tchilasai, to be counted as the first day of Nida, even though she just saw at the end. Shana sheyamechad oila b'seifa, Shana that you tell me one day counts at the end. So einay din shawat sheyayoim oila b'tchilasai should count in the beginning. So again, it's a little convoluted kal v'chaymer, but I think I don't know if I can repeat it again, but I think it's pretty clear that if you say Miksah Yom Kikula in the end, certainly you should say it in the beginning. By Nida, you don't say it in the end, but you do say it in the beginning. So certainly by giving the lifespan of a shar, if you say it in the end, kal v'chaymer, you should say 1 day in the beginning. Now, if you say 1 day in the beginning, but by shar, you should say it by Nitiyah, and therefore you should need 30 days to go ahead and establish it as the first 30 year Arla. Even 1 day should be enough. How are we doing? Okay.
It doesn't make a difference what percentage the mixus is. This by Rameh, the mixus is 1/365. And by
Mixed Yom Kikula, I don't think it makes a difference.
1 out of 24.
I think mixed Yom, again, I don't know enough about it, but just with it's not mixed Yom, it seems makes sense. Anyway, Velamai, what are you going to say? So guys, so Rav Meir is not the Tana who is. It must be Rebbe Eliezer, right? Because Rabbi Eliezer say 30 days, right? And the Tosefta that we began to share with said 30 days. We say about 30 days. Good. Ve'elamai, Rabbi Eliezer, shloishim u'shloisha boy. You should need not only 30, you should need 60. That nan, ein noitin, ve'ein mavrichin. You can't plant. You can't, again, I don't know what that's called, putting it in the ground and splitting it. Ve'ein markivin, erev shvius, pachas mi lamid yoim. Lifnei Rosh Hashanah. V'nota v'hivrich v'hirkev yaka. You have to get rid of it. Now, you saying to yourself, why don't you say that 30 days should count for both, right? It should count for the 30 days and so look at Rashi, guys. Shloishim and shloishim, but you should need 60. Lamid yoim leklita. This is the first time we're introducing this. 30 days for it to take root. Lamid yoim leklita. 30 days for it to take root. Shetei nishrashes ba'aretz, that it should be rooted in the ground. Ushloishim yoim lechashivish shana, and 30 days for it to be considered a year. For Yemei Klita ain't oilin law, and the days of taking root, those 30 days do not count to the 30 days of counting the year. The kiman de monach bebesadamya kozman shalei kolta. The whole time it does not take root, it's considered like being in your house, like you didn't do anything. So Rashi says a very interesting svara. Says Rashi, there's two things over here. There to be considered a year, and you need the actual it taking root. We have that as 130 day. The Tosefta said 30 days and you're done. Says the Gemara, Kipri Meya, 1 day is enough. So who is it? It must be Rabbi Eliezer, who said 30 days when we wanted to count a year in the lifetime of a bull, 30 days did the job, right? 30 days did the job in the lifetime of a bull. That's what he's saying. He still can't be the Tana. Rabbi Eliezer still can't be the Tana because he would need an additional 30 days. 30 days for it to take root and 30 days for what to be considered a year. Let us say both. If it doesn't take root, it's not there at all. It only becomes something after it takes root. And then I can start counting the year. So it's two different denominations, if you will. And therefore, you should be 30 and 30. So he's not the Tana either. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda says, Kol hakava she'ena kolet b'gimel yamim, shuv ena koletis. He only requires 3 days. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon Oimrim, shtei shabbos is 2 weeks. V'amav Nachman, Amar Rabbi Ravul, L'divrei Omer Lamed, the one who says Lamed, that's Rabbi Eliezer, Sarach Lamed u'shleishim, you need 30 and 30. L'divrei Omer Shleisha, Sarach Shleisha Shalom, you need 33 days, right? That's Rabbi Yehuda. L'divrei Omer Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Shimon, that says Beis Shabbos, again, you see that what they're two separate entities. That one, they're not oiled together. V'inami Rabbi Yehuda Svirle, Gimel u'shleishim boy. You would need 3 and 30. So l'chayre it doesn't work out at all. So in other words, you wanted to say the brisa is according to Rabbi Eliezer and not like Rabbi Meir. Guess what? It's not like Rabbi Meir because 1 day is enough, and it's not like Rabbi Eliezer because you would need 60 days. So it's nobody. So now we come full circle, guys. Who do we begin saying the loch is not the brisa is not like? Rabbi Meir, the Tosefta. And now we're going to say it's like 180 degrees. It's not really full circle. Full circle is not right. It's really 180, right? 360 means you're back where you started. It's really 180. I think people are making a mistake, right? When you say full circle, what does it mean? You're coming back where you started. So if you start, it's not like Rabbi Meir. You come full circle, it's still like Rabbi Meir. 180 would mean that's the opposite. Am I right or wrong?
Well, going back to Rabbi, it's 360.
Right, we're saying Rabbi Meir is the one.
Going back to 360.
The circle around.
Okay. Anyway. Okay, guys, we just changed. The Havamin of the Gemara was when it said 30 days, it was a year. Nothing to do whatsoever with it taking root. That's what we said. Or else there was no kasha. If it was taking root all along, why are you hacking a chinik? 1 year is the lifetime. Here's 1 year can be considered 1 year that it enters, and the other one is a physical mitzias. You need for it to take root in the ground. Yeah. So Elamai, you saw that we weren't going with physical mitzias. We simply were speaking about a year. What's a year? 30 days or 1. Now we're saying that 30 days has nothing to do with a year. That 30 days is the time it takes for it to be koilet. And Rameh would agree to that. So the question is, you should need 31 now. Right? You should need 30 plus the 1 for the year, correct? So Fred the Gemara, okay, what's your terror? It's Elohim Rameh. V'chikam lamed leklita, ihachi lamed aleph boy. You should need what? 31, 30 for the klita and 1 for the year. And for the Gemara, kasava yoim lamed oil lakan ulakan. You're going to say mitzvah yom kekuloi. You're going to say, right, you're going to say it goes partially for this and partially for that. A little bit for this and a little bit for that. And therefore 30 days will do the job. Mitzvah yom kekuloi in the year, the beginning of the year, is good kavachayma. And you'll say in your klita, the 30th day would do the job. You have to wait to the end of the day, 30th day. So that would be a good svara, right? 30th day it takes klita, mixes yom kekulai, therefore you kishmak. Ushneim, Reb Meir, and Reb Elazar, mikroyach v'darshu. Where they get their 1 day, guys, in the 30 days? Going back to where they get their 1 day in the 30 days, where they get it from? They dash from the same pasuk. Okay, it says by Noach. By he. Okay, let's get it over here. This is. He always quotes the full pasuk. Okay. So both Reb Meir, they dash in the same pasuk. Vayihi, it's Breishis Ches pasuk Gimel. If you have the sides of the Gemara on the article, you probably have on the side. Vayihi ba'achas v'sheis me'ah shana. It's in the 601 year to Noah's life. Barishain be'echel l'chaydesh, on the first day of the first month. Charvu amayim me'al haaretz. It went ahead and it dried up. So it dried up. Now it says Vayihi ba'achas v'shishim me'ah shana. And it doesn't say Vayihi b'shnas sheish me'osh va'achas. Guys, it didn't say 601. It said sheish me'osh shana, right? It said shana, like achas 1 and sheish me'osh shana. It said 1 and 600. It should have said 601. It should have said Vayihi b'shnas sheish me'osh va'achas. So why did it say shana? It says remember me'osh savar midekati yom echad hu da'ayel b'shana, meaning if Taka wasn't 601 years old, it was 600 and a day old. 600 a day old. So what do you see? That a day is considered a year. If it could correlate Shana. Shmamina, Yomecha b'Shana, Chashav Shana. The Idach, what does Rabbi Eliezer, who argues on Meir, what does he do with the pasuk? Ikasiv b'Sheish Meir Shva'acha Shana. If it would say 601 Shana Kidgarmit. But Hashad Chsiv ba'achas b'Sheish Meir Shana. First it says 1 and then 600. Shana Asheish Meir Shkai. The Shana is going on to 600. Umay achas, what does achas mean? Aschalto the achas kama. It says it's the beginning what of the year. It's the beginning of the year, but not that what, not that it's considered a year. Rabbi Eliezer, my time. What is Rabbi Eliezer? 30 days. It says on the first day of the first month. Guys, it says 1 day and it's considered a month. Good guys, we have this limud, guys. Listen to the limud. 1 day, a day. If you were taking the SAT, a day to the month. You remember the SAT? They give you, for example. No, I still remember the analogy. Sour is to sweet, as bad is to good. And then the next one was like, so it's like, oh, forget about it. Anyway, so in the denominations, if you can make the comparison, if you're going to say 1 day is considered a month, then you'll say 1 month is considered a year. And that's Rabbi Loz's din. That's his. So that's what he's saying over here. It says, it says, it's still Yom Echad, Da'ayel b'Chodesh, and you call it a month. You call it a month, even though it's 1 day. Shmami no Yom Echad b'Chodesh, Chashav Chodesh. 1 day in a month is considered the whole month. Yom Echad b'Chodesh, Chashav Chodesh, Shleishin Yom b'Shana, Chashav Shana. Right? The Chodesh l'Menuyav. Chodesh goes according to its denominations. It's made up of days. The Shana l'Menuyav, and Shana goes according to its denominations, where it's made up out of days. Each one goes according to what the denomination. That's the okay. This is this is very, very famous Gemara. Okay, let's start a little bit. Okay, Tanya, Rabbi Eliezer Omer, B'Tishrei Nivra Olam. The world was created in Tishrei. Rabbi Shita, B'Tishrei. Right? Now there's a shtickle remes to that. It's a balaturim. Look at the word Bereshis. Are you guys any good at jumble? I wish I had a board. Bereshis, right? Take it be in the base in Bereshis, right? Give me a pen. I'll do this. Let me. And paper. We have a paper. Huh? I'm good. I got something. What? Okay, guys. If you take the word Bereshis, in every letter, you can go ahead and figure it out. It says Ba'alef Tishrei. Watch.
Anagrams.
And this is really going to help you. If you take a
I
look.
think it's a sweep to the left.
Yeah. Right. That's what it looks like. So it looks like it goes Be'alef Tishrei, Bereshis. You have every letter of Bereshis. It spells out Be'alef Tishrei. So Bereshis, Be'alef Tishrei, Bar L'Kim V'Shemaim V'Saretz. So that would be that would be anyway. So he saw Rabbi Eliezer is of the opinion is that Be'alef Tishrei Nivra Olam and the Tishrei Noldu Avis. The Avis were born in Tishrei. We're going to see only Avram and Yaakov. But Tishrei Mesu Avis, they also died then. The Pesach Noldu Yitzchak. So obviously that's how you knew the Avis were only Avram and Yaakov. Look at the first Rashi in the next page. Noldu Avis. Guys, can you imagine? People like they learn too early. They make us fun of a certain yeshiva, right? Arba Avis. They say Arba Avis. I thought there was only 3. Right. Arba Avis Nezikin. So same thing. You look at this Rashi and it says, "What Avram Yitzchak and what's with Yaakov?" You know, you in context, right? You can't take it out of context. So Pesach, no Yitzchak. So if Yitzchak was born in Pesach, obviously then the Avis says Tishrei was only Avram and Yaakov. But Rosh Hashanah nifkda Sarah Rachel v'Chana, and Rosh Hashanah Sarah Rachel v'Chana they got pregnant. Rosh Hashanah Yatsi Yosef Beis Asurim, and Rosh Hashanah Yosef left prison. Rosh Hashanah Batla avoided me Avasim in Mitzrayim. And Rosh Hashanah they stopped the Shibud. B'Nisan Nigalu, Nisan we were redeemed, and B'Tishrei us Asidin Legal. In Tishrei we will be redeemed. That's the sheet of Rebbe Eliezer. Yeshua Omer, B'Nisan Nivra Olam. The world was created in Nisan. B'Nisan Noldu Avos, and the Avos were born in. They weren't born in Tishrei; they were born in Nisan. B'Nisan Mesu Avos, and that's when they died. The Pesach Nol Yitzchak. He agrees with Rebbe Eliezer that Yitzchak was born in Pesach. Rosh Hashanah Niftash Sar Rachel B'Chana. He agrees with that. Right?
It's also Pesach is Nisan. They were all born in Nisan.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I guess they may.
They knew the day.
It could be they're just saying this to conflict the symmetry, parallel. To make it parallel, right? I would say that's the answer. And Rosh Hashanah Nifked Sar Rachel Chana, and that we said Rosh Hashanah Yatsi Yosef Beis Asurim that we said. Rosh Hashanah Batlu Avodas Me'avosenu. They agree with that. B'Mitzrayim B'Nisan Nigalu and B'Nisan Asidin Legoyal. So B'Nisan Nigalu and Nisan Asidin Legoyal. Okay, we'll see. That's Hashem. Yes.